Introduction. It is certainly possible for you to develop influence mastery so that you can influence others to do what you want. You will learn exactly how to do it in this powerful training. It all starts with understanding what influence really is and what it isn't. You need to accept that it is going to take time and effort to develop influence mastery. By using the techniques in this training and practicing them on a regular basis, you will get the results that you desire. It is important that you understand how people are wired and how they make decisions so that you can influence them. You need to follow the rules of influence outlined in this training and adjust your influence tactics to match those of the different decision maker types that will make up your audience. Credibility is everything with influence. You need to develop it and maintain it. There are other actions that you need to take to maintain your power of influence. Everything that you need to know about developing influence mastery is in this powerful training. So, go through this training and apply what you learn. Understanding influence. In order for you to be an influence master, you need to know what influence really is. One of the mistakes that a lot of people make is that they think that influence and persuasion are the same thing. This is not the case. Persuasion is an element of influence and is often used as part of the process of influencing others. But it is not the same as influence. The most important difference between influence and persuasion is that with persuasion, you use a specific set of tactics to get people to do what you want. Influence is much more than this. It is your presence in the world. When you become an influence master, you will have something called conversion with others. This is different to the compliance that persuasion tactics bring. Compliance and conversion. You can use different persuasion tactics on people to get them to do what you want, but it is very unlikely that their belief systems will be affected by this. What you have really done is impact their thought process and nothing else. This means that you have persuaded the person to act in a way that they might not actually believe in deep down. They have complied with you for a variety of reasons, such as short-term reward or conforming to social norms. With conversion, you have a lot more power. As a master influencer, you can actually change the belief systems of others. When you achieve this, they will buy into your message and all of your subsequent messages. Even if you have nothing to say, they will still follow you. Others will share an identity with you. When you are a master influencer, others will start to see you as a symbol that they identify with. This is much more powerful than just sharing a message with others. By sharing your identity with others, it will become an element of their identity as well. As an influence master, you have great power because you can use your influence without any direct effort. Influence masters are able to obtain conversion and compliance from others just based on who they are or what they have done in the past. The most important attribute of influence. If you were to look at all of the attributes that influential people have, they would all share one thing in common: credibility. When you have credibility with others, they will trust you, believe that you are smart and that you are knowledgeable. To others, you seem to have the right experience and have the capability to become whoever you want to be. A lot of famous people have high credibility and influence. Oprah Winfrey is a good example. Many people will listen to what she has to say due to her high levels of credibility. She's done a number of things in the past to build this credibility. Have you ever wondered why companies use famous celebrities to endorse their products? It is all about their ability to influence others using their credibility. Every year, many thousands of companies send their products to Oprah hoping that she will talk about them on TV. Even a 30-second product endorsement from Oprah can be extremely influential. Companies have made thousands of sales of their products using Oprah's influence. She is one of the most influential people in the world. How do people perceive you? The way that people perceive you determines your level of influence. You need to understand that influence is not always good. You can have a positive influence on others or a negative influence. It is likely that you have heard someone say he or she is a bad influence, and this is true. If you think about negative influencers from history, then Adolf Hitler will probably come to mind. He was able to negatively influence a whole country to do terrible things. The power to influence is neutral. You, as the influencer, need to determine whether you will use this power for good or bad. We want you to use your influence for good. Another critical aspect of influence is the reputation that you have with others. Powerful or knowledgeable, that many people will want to listen to you. The opposite is true. If you use your influence to make people do things that they don't want to do, then you will have a bad reputation and not many will want to listen to you. Never underestimate the power of a reputation. Things that are not even true can tarnish your reputation. If enough people believe these lies about you, there will be social validity and people will believe these things. The old world view. Aristotle was one of the first people to speak about influence and persuasion back in ancient Greece. He believed that you needed 3 critical components to be a good persuader. 1. Ethos. 2. Pathos. 3. Logos. Ethos is all about the character of the individual that is doing the persuading. Aristotle believed that if a person had credibility, then they would be much more likely to persuade people. If a person was considered untrustworthy, then they would have little chance of persuasion. A person's credibility comes from a number of factors, including their character, their reputation, the way that they dress, the words that they use, their nonverbal communication, and whether they know what they are talking about. Pathos is the psychological state of the person you want to persuade. We are talking about their state of mind here. People will make different decisions based on the mood they are in. Knowing a person's current state of mind and what they really want their state of mind to be is very important. When you are able to change the state of mind of someone to what they want it to be, then persuasion is a lot easier. Most people will be compliant with your wishes when you achieve this state change. Logos is all about the substance of your message. It is the detail of what you are trying to convey to others. Aristotle believed that most people are reasonable, and if something makes sense to them, then they will make a logical decision about it. The New World View. Although people see Aristotle's concepts as very important, there have been many changes in thinking about persuasion over the years. It is more difficult to persuade people these days for a number of reasons. We're living in the age of information, and this has resulted in people being more skeptical about messages. Everyone has access to libraries, and most have access to the internet today. These things were not around in Aristotle's time. Also, people are a lot more educated than they used to be. So to persuade people now, you need to overcome these challenges. In the next video, we will discuss the rules of influence. The rules of influence. In the last video, you learned that influence and persuasion can be used for good or bad things. The bottom line is that there are principles of influence and persuasion, and how you choose to use this power is up to you. By using the principles of influence and persuasion, you will have power over people whether your intentions are good or not. The reason for this is because the principles work for good reasons and for bad. We want you to use the powerful secrets that we reveal in this training to not only enrich the value of your life, but also to enrich the lives of the people that you want to influence. This is a win-win situation for everyone. So, let's take a look at the rules of influence and persuasion. 1. You need an audience. The whole point of becoming an influence master is to gain the support and compliance of others. In order to do this, there have to be other people involved. Whether this is a single individual or thousands of people, don't matter. You must have an audience for influence and persuasion to work. 2. You need the attention of your audience and you have to engage them. You will not be able to influence and persuade anyone if they are not listening to you. You need to grab the attention of your audience in order for them to listen to you. If you already have an established reputation or reputable brand, then this will help a lot. Other people will know who you are and what you are about with a good reputation. They know this before they even begin to listen to what you have to say. Being an expert in your field really helps. If you are not at that stage yet, then you will have to work hard to get the attention of people that don't know you. This is certainly possible. If you are in a one-on-one situation, then you need to observe them carefully. What are they wearing? If you are in their home or office, what stands out as interesting? You can then talk about these things and align your message to them. To get the attention of a lot of people, your message needs to resonate with something they are having a problem with in their personal or business life. Promise them that you have the answers to their problems. 3. Mutual understanding. The third principle of influence and persuasion is a mutual understanding. Both parties need to understand each other. You need to understand what your audience wants, and they need to understand your message. There are many ways that you can present a message. Even if you knew how people could go out and find $1 million today, if you present this wrong, then nobody will believe you and the impact of your message will be extremely weak. All of the above rules of influence and persuasion play into each other. In order for people to understand your message, you have to present it in a way that they will understand. You can only know the best way to present your message by knowing about your audience first. The key to effective influence and persuasion is about knowing how your audience sees the world and presenting your message in a way that is congruent with their perceived view. How you see the world is not important at all. If everyone perceived the world in the same way, then you would have no need for influence and persuasion. Everyone would live in harmony and make the same decisions as each other. Of course, this is never going to be the case, as human beings have unique characteristics that define them as unique individuals. Adaptive influence and persuasion. Before we get on the next principle of influence, it is worth mentioning adaptive influence and persuasion. This is where the real power of influence and persuasion come in. Everyone is different with different morals, values, and beliefs. This means that we all see the world in a different way. So as a master influencer, you need to adapt to how others are seeing things. It is easier to use adaptive persuasion in one-to-one sales meetings. You read your prospect and then adapt your approach to make them compliant. Adaptive persuasion works with larger audiences too, but you need to accept that you will not convince everyone. The alternative to adaptive persuasion is non-adaptive. Here you use the same message with everyone. Think about copywriting as an example. The same message is used on a sales page for a product online. This is a numbers game. If the copy influences most people, then that is the best that you can hope for. 4. Know the game. The fourth and final principle of influence and persuasion is knowing the game. In order to be a master influencer, there are specific principles that exist that you must follow. It is essential that you know what these rules are and what they mean. There's been a great deal of research over the years, and there's a lot of scientific evidence to support how people think, behave, and can be influenced or persuaded to think and behave in a way that you want them to. Use this to your advantage. In the next video, we will discuss the benefits and importance of influence. The benefits and importance of influence. In order to become a master of influence, you will need to make a number of changes in your life and implement the influencer secrets that we will reveal later in this training. To be successful, you will need to be inspired and motivated each day to make the necessary changes. So, in this video, we will discuss the importance and benefits of influence. The most influential people in the world not only had the power to wield their influence over many people, but they took action and were influential in their lives. It is pointless you learning all of the great techniques in this training and then not using your influence. The importance of influence. Being a master influencer has nothing to do with the amount of money that you have or don't have, or your upbringing or background. Your ability to influence others is down to who you have become and the traits that you possess. When you have the power of influence, you will be able to achieve all the things that you want in life. If you want to be a better leader in business, then influence is essential. To achieve any kind of business or financial goal, you're going to need influence. Influence is important in your personal life as well. If your child is not pulling their weight at school or college, do you have the influential power to make them change their behavior? What if your child has got in with the wrong crowd and you fear for their safety on the streets? Can you influence them to change who they associate with? Maybe you are looking for that special person to have a lifelong relationship with. When you have influence, you can find that person and make them a part of your life. If you have friends or family members that are going down the wrong path in life, then you can use influence to help them and steer them back on the right path. Your influential skills can also help others around you achieve their goals and dreams. By following your advice, they will make the right decisions and take the necessary action to succeed. Remember that influence is about conversion and not compliance. You are changing the beliefs of others so that they can have a better life. Influence is not about dictating. Although Hitler is seen as a person with great influence, he was a dictator. He commanded his subjects to take specific action or else they would face dire consequences. We do not consider this to be true influence. True influence is about helping others to see that they need to adopt your beliefs so that they can reap long-term benefits. A command will fall flat on its face if the negative consequences are removed. Commands can change people's minds at that moment, but they will not buy into a longer-term philosophy. Influence, on the other hand, actually creates an internal mindset shift in a person. There are no threats hanging over a person if they are not compliant. Influencers are able to obtain an internal commitment from their followers. This has a long-lasting effect, which is what you want to aim for. Consider this practical example. Let's say that you work in retail and your boss commands you to change the way that you connect with customers. The boss tells you that if you do not change your ways, you are likely to be fired. There is no mindset shift here, so you will probably only change the way you greet customers when the boss is around. Compare this to having an influential boss who uses the power of influence to change your mindset about how you greet the customers. You will make an internal commitment to this, and it doesn't matter if your boss is around or not, you will greet the customers in a good way. The world needs more influencers than commanders. Create an emotional connection. When you create an emotional connection with others, you are far more likely to influence them. Being able to build a relationship and trust with others is essential. Doing this will enable you to have more success with obtaining an internal commitment. That commitment will exist over the long term. There are short-term tactics that you can use to gain compliance. There is no emotional connection required with these tactics. You can try manipulating people, coercing them, reasoning with them, and so on. But these tactics do not have long-lasting impact. Do you like being told what to do at your place of work? If your boss keeps telling you to do things that you don't want to do, then in no time at all, resentment builds. When a friend that you trust advises that you should change your life in a certain way, then you are far more likely to listen to them. The benefits of influence. So here are the main benefits of influence. You can use it to achieve your goals. You can use it to build better relationships with others. You can use it to encourage others to do more and achieve their goals. You can use influence to make a real difference in the world. Several famous people have used their influence to good effect. Mother Teresa changed world thinking about the poor. Gandhi changed our mindset about leading a country. Churchill and FDR shifted our mindset on defeating the enemy when all seemed lost. Jeff Bezos, the founder and CEO of Amazon, changed our thinking about shopping online. We could have made this video a lot longer, but we believe that you have enough reasons now to make the necessary changes to become a master influencer. If you find your motivation levels low at any time, then watch this short video to inspire you again. In the next video, we will discuss how people make decisions. How people are wired. Knowing how people are wired is very important to you as a master influencer. People will usually make their decisions based on emotion and then use logic afterwards to justify the decisions they make. Most people do not like change, and getting them to change is not easy. It is a lot more difficult to get people to make long-term changes than it is short-term changes. The reason this is so is because people have a lot of different habits that tend to make them set in their ways. The issue with habits. As an influencer, you will be suggesting that people change some of their habits to adapt a new way of thinking. The habits people have are based on their previous behaviors. They will be doing things in the exact same way that they always did them. This is their hardwiring, and rather than try to change this, it is better to advise on new habits they should adopt. The general consensus is that it takes around 3 weeks or 21 days for a new habit to form. Recent evidence suggests that the formation of new habits can occur in around 5 to 6 days. The time is necessary so that new connections form in the brain and it understands why the new habit is necessary. Developing a new habit does not mean that old bad habits disappear. The person with the new habit now has a choice. They can go with the new empowering habit or fall back on the bad old habit. As an example, it is not too difficult to get a person to go to the gym for a day or two. It is very difficult to make the change within them so that they visit the gym regularly for the rest of their life. Changing beliefs. You can change people's beliefs, but it is not easy. Beliefs are personal to everyone, and they have usually been around for a long time. People will go out of their way to find evidence to support the current beliefs that they have. There's an emotional attachment to every belief that a person holds. You cannot change beliefs using force. If you try to do this, then the person will go into fight mode so that they can protect the belief that they hold so dearly. It is better to ask people questions so that they are able to see things in a different way. You can form new beliefs on the back of these questions. The only way that a person will really change a belief is that they want to change it. They come to the conclusion that it is best for them in the long run. It is all about ownership. If you are trying to change people and they do not feel that they have made the decision to change, then all of your efforts will be in vain. Another method that can work well is using social norms. If the majority of people have a specific belief that is helping them to succeed, then this can really influence others. People do not want to think, that they are an outcast. So, when you show them that making the change is in line with what the vast majority are doing, then you will have a much better chance of getting the result that you want. Their emotions will be more positive towards making the change when you use social norms. People do not like to be wrong. People do not like being told that they are wrong. In general, the only way that someone can be wrong about something is down to their thinking process. If they can justify being wrong because they didn't have the right information, then they will feel better about changing. This gives them a way out. By sharing some information with people they didn't have before, they can use this to justify why they were wrong. You do not want to shame people in any way. Just provide them with the missing information so that they can use it as a method of escape. Pain and pleasure. You've probably heard of the pain-pleasure principle before. The important thing is that people will do a lot more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. You must use the fear of others to motivate them to make change. It is important that you build up as many gains as you can as an influencer. People don't like losing out or missing out on things. Usually a person will work harder to keep their job than they will to gain a promotion. If you present someone with an opportunity that has numerous benefits for them, they will feel pain if they miss out on it. Most people don't know what they want. You will see a number of guides on influence and persuasion tell you that you need to find out what people want and then give it to them. The problem with this is that most people have no idea what they want. A better approach is to show them what they definitely don't want, such as financial hardship, not having a loving partner in their life, continuously being passed over for promotion, having poor health, and so on. In the next video, we will discuss how you can build unshakable credibility. How to build unshakable credibility. Without credibility, your chances of influencing people are slim to none. You need to do all that you can to build your credibility and get it to a level where it is unshakable. There are a number of elements that make up credibility, which we will discuss below. If you look up the definition of the word credibility, you will find that it is all about believability. A credible person is one that is worthy of belief. If your audience doesn't have that belief in you, then it is going to be almost impossible to influence them. When you have credibility with your audience, then they will be open to your opinions, values, and beliefs. They will be eager to hear what you have to say. It really is the foundation of influence. So you need to work on your credibility all of the time if you want to be a master influencer. The 6 elements of credibility. There are 6 important elements that make up your credibility. 1. Competence. 2. Likability. 3. Expertise. 4. Composure. 5. Social ability. 6. Trustworthiness. The most important of these elements is competence. If your audience does not believe that you are competent to do what you claim, then they are not going to believe anything you say. Your competence is not linked to your beliefs, values, or morals. It is entirely based on your expertise in a subject. There is a difference between your true competence level and your perceived competence level. A master influencer is always competent, but they also ensure that their audience perceive them to be competent as well. Compare this to a mediocre product versus a great product. If you get the marketing wrong with the great product, then you are not going to make many sales. But marketing the mediocre product well, you can sell a lot. So, it is your responsibility to convince your audience that you are competent. You already know that you are, but that doesn't matter at all. If you are a genius in your niche and you cannot convince people of this, then nobody will want to listen to you. Building unshakable credibility. Here are different ways that you can build unshakable credibility to lay the foundation of influence with your audience. Improve your likability. You're not going to be trusted if you are not liked. Your audience will base all of their opinions about you based on your likability. It really is that important. Would you change your mindset on the advice of someone that you didn't like? It's possible, but very unlikely. Trustworthiness is a major contributing factor to your credibility. So, ask people close to you to evaluate your likability. Tell them to be totally honest with you. If you need to make improvements here, then take action immediately. Give objections to yourself. When you are presenting to an audience that you want to influence, they're going to be forming objections in their mind as to why they should not follow your advice. The best way to tackle this is to bring all these objections into the open and address them in full. By being open about objections, you will help to bring the guard down that your audience has. It helps you to connect with the way that they are thinking and improves your credibility because it demonstrates that you have done your homework and anticipated the objections. Make it crystal clear who you are and what you are about. This is all about spelling out in detail what your position is, the experience level that you have, your specialized knowledge, and your education. You will get more respect from your audience when you project being in a higher position than they are. You need to do this professionally and not brag about it. So if you're an expert in digital marketing, for example, then you will need to prove this is the case to your audience. What courses have you attended? What results have you achieved? How long have you been involved in the niche? It doesn't matter if you don't have a great educational background. If this is the case for you, then focus on the results that you have obtained both for yourself and others. Most people are not going to care that you don't have a degree if you can show them how to make a significant amount of money online, for example. Be an articulation master. People are always going to find you more credible when you can articulate the points you are making with fluent communication and avoiding things like stuttering and saying repeatedly. If you are a good articulator, then you can give false answers to questions and your audience will believe you. We're not suggesting that you do this, of course. You can be the greatest expert in a subject that the world has ever known, but if you are unable to articulate this, then your credibility will tank. So if you need to work on your powers of articulation, then do so. Provide evidence. When you are making points that support your point of view, back these up with evidence. Always reveal the source of any data that you use as evidence. By providing evidence, you enhance your credibility by showing you have done your homework. Use the power of social validity to your advantage. Use humor. Getting your audience to laugh will not just change their emotional state into happiness. It will also make you more likable. Be careful here, though. You don't want to offend people by telling some tasteless jokes. Using yourself as the focus of the humor is a good thing to do. People will feel at ease with you if you can inject some humor into your presentations. Give people what they want. As a master influencer, you will get your audience to do what they want by creating win-win situations. The most effective way to do this is to give them what they want. You need to know what they are thinking. Use questions to find out what your audience is thinking, and then give them the answers that they are looking for. In the next video, we will discuss 8 influence and persuasion methods you can use in business. Influence and persuasion methods in business. Salespeople at the top of their game are all good influencers. They have credibility and are able to position their company and their products and services in a way that makes their offer irresistible to potential clients. So, here are 8 simple methods that you can use to increase your influence in the business world and persuasion tactics you can use to get the results that you want. 1. Identify the problem. We already discussed that people make decisions to either avoid pain or gain pleasure. Statistics prove that people will do a lot more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure. So, you need to use this to your advantage. By identifying a specific problem that your audience is having, or more importantly, a desire that they have to avoid pain, you will position yourself well with them and have far more chance of influencing them. 2. Identify the problem consequences. After you have identified the problem or the issue that is causing your audience pain, you need to get the message across to your audience that if they don't take action right now, that they will just experience more pain. The consequence could be financial hardship, health problems, loss of an important relationship, and so on. As the influencer, your solution will fix the problem for them. People tend to hide away from their problems, so you need to bring everything to the surface so that they feel the pain and see your solution as removing this pain. 3. Identify the chosen solution. With this step, you will lead your audience to choose the outcome that they believe will take their pain away. You can provide examples of other things that they could do that would only provide a temporary fix, or even make the problem worse, such as doing nothing at all. A good way to lead your audience to the chosen solution is to ask the right questions. You could ask, what do you think could help you with your problem? And what would be the ideal outcome for you? Ask them which of the solutions you are offering they prefer the most. Only your chosen solution will tick all of the boxes. 4. Tell your audience about the consequences of the solution. It is vital that your audience understands and accepts all aspects of the new outcome that your chosen solution will provide. You need to get them to fully support the consequences of the new outcome, which will persuade them to say yes to it a lot more readily. If you don't make the consequences of your chosen solution abundantly clear, that if something doesn't work out for them as planned, then they are likely to blame you. For example, people invest in self-help products all the time, but fail to follow through on the advice provided. 5. Check for confirmation. It is your responsibility to ensure that your chosen outcome for your audience is something that they really want. If they are not truthful with you or themselves, then this will not help your ability to persuade them to take the action that you want. When you are checking for confirmation, you need to ensure that your audience is not just telling you what they think you want to hear. Most people avoid being combative and will just agree to avoid any issues. 6. Your solution must be beneficial for your audience. You are a master influencer. So you are not in the business of providing temporary or short-term solutions or quick fixes for the problems that your audience has. So, make it your responsibility to provide your audience with solutions that provide long-lasting results. When you do this, you will make your audience happy, and it will also open the door to further opportunities for you to use your influence power on them again and do further business with them. 7. Reserve your judgment. If a member of your audience makes a suggestion or answers a question in an inappropriate manner, don't make a judgment at this point. You know that everyone sees the world in a different way, so their perception could be different to yours. This makes it tough for you to determine why someone has a particular opinion. Spend time identifying the beliefs, goals, values, and the outlook on life that your audience has. This will not just help you to influence them, but they will form a connection with you because you took the time and effort to really get to know them. 8. Don't correct your audience. There are going to be times when a member of your audience will make a statement that is untrue or false or simply totally incorrect. When this happens to you, and it is very likely that it will, avoid jumping in and correcting them or telling them they are wrong. If you tell someone they are wrong, then you will immediately make their defense mechanisms kick in. People do not like being told that they are wrong. By correcting them, they are very likely to stop listening to you and your ability to influence them is lost. A person that you corrected is probably going to be very busy defending their thoughts and their opinions. Not only does this make your task of influencing them much more difficult, but their whole relationship with you can come into question. The more that your audience opens up and listens to you, the more their resistance weakens. If they get something wrong, it doesn't matter because they are trying to justify in their minds that your story is true. They see themselves in your story, which is exactly what you want. In the next video, we will take a detailed look at the importance of the decision-making process. The importance of the decision-making process. Once you have watched and understood the information in this video and how you can use it to your benefit, you will have one of the most powerful abilities of a master influencer. Once you master the information here, it will make everything else that you have learned so far throughout this training come together as a well-oiled machine. Being a master influencer is all about your ability to convert others to your point of view. In other words, how effective you are at getting them to take the action that you want. For your audience to take the action that you want, they have to decide to do this on a conscious or subconscious level. People need to decide. Every action that a human being takes is the result of a decision. Pulling your hand away from something hot is an automatic decision. Making a purchase of a product or service takes more time to decide. Knowing how people make decisions will greatly help you to influence them. It is very important that you understand that the need to avoid pain and gain pleasure will always have a significant impact on the way that people make decisions, no matter what kind of character they are. We're talking about the bigger decisions here, like wanting to buy into your philosophy, for example. We're not talking about automatic decisions that are instinctive, such as avoiding danger. The decisions here require thought and time and have consequences for the person making them. They need to think everything through before deciding. Different types of decision makers. We will now take a look at the different types of decision makers that you are likely to encounter. This is important to you because each type will use a slightly different process to make their important decisions. The thinker. We all know people that are thinkers. They like to scrutinize everything and weigh up the pros and cons of the outcome of making a decision. Thinkers will not come to a decision until they have done this. They believe that they are outsmarting the opposition, you as the influencer, by being very methodical. Thinkers like to get their hands on all the information that they can. They try and restrain emotion and only use rational thought. This does not mean that they are not open to new ideas. You need to structure your presentation to thinkers so that they can analyze the detail and understand the mechanics of everything. If you don't do this, then you will lose them. The best way to influence thinkers is to involve them in the entire process. Be sure that they understand how you arrived at all of your conclusions and provide evidence to back this up. Failure to do this will result in the thinker trying to work it out for themselves rather than listening to you. If there are risks associated with what you are proposing, then you need to be open about this. You can ask the thinkers what they believe would be the best way to minimize the risks. Your credibility will go way up with the thinker when you do this. The skeptic. We all know people that are skeptics. They are just naturally suspicious and will not take on board any information that does not fit with the way that they see the world. To combat this, you must show that the information you are presenting comes from sources that the skeptic considers credible. Skeptics are always up for a fight and are not shy in voicing their opinion if they think that what you are telling them goes against their beliefs. Quite often, skeptics are very confident in their opinions and will make risky decisions to support them. They are usually relentless and like to think that they know it all. If they need help, they will only go to people they trust. Don't believe that skeptics never make quick decisions because this is not true. They will often make decisions immediately that others would need time to evaluate. Skeptics rely on their instincts a lot, so it is easier for them to make a quick decision if everything seems right to them. There is no guesswork with skeptics. They're going to tell you straight out what their concerns are. The best way to influence a skeptic is to get them to place extreme value on the data sources you use. If you don't currently have any credibility with skeptics, then use sources from people and organizations that a skeptic will trust. A skeptic will always look for a reason not to trust you, so answer their questions honestly. It can be harder to influence a skeptic at first, but once you have their trust, it will be a lot easier in the future as you will be a part of their inner circle. The follower. In a nutshell, followers use the decision-making processes of others as reference points for their own decisions. They like to do things that have been proven to work for others in the past. Venturing into uncharted territory is not something that a follower likes to do. Usually followers are not innovative or creative people, and they don't like examining options that have no proof that they work. Followers tend to invest in trusted brands and products and services that have social validation. Bargains are great for followers. If they believe that they are getting a great deal, then this will have a major impact on their decision-making. They will often jump on something new and unproven because the price makes it irresistible. To influence followers, you need to provide proof and then more proof. It is important that you do not take a follower out of their comfort zone because they don't like that. Their defense mechanisms will kick in immediately with new things. The best way to influence followers is to convince them that many others have succeeded by taking the action that you want them to take. Gather as many testimonials as possible that you can and references from credible sources. Unlike a skeptic, followers do not tend to make quick decisions. This is where you can use the bargain tactic. A lot of followers will throw caution to the wind when they believe they are getting a bargain. The leader. Leaders are meticulous people that are always striving for perfection. They are very independent and very proactive. Leaders are usually driven by fear of the unknown and their future. Most of the time they will view any change in their life to be negative. The fear is sometimes so bad that it paralyzes them from taking action. This type of fear can make a leader very defensive and combative. They will often focus on worst-case scenarios and negativity when they experience this fear. The fear is not all bad. It can actually be a major driving force for them to achieve goals that most people only dream of. A leader will roll up their sleeves and take massive action if they don't agree with how specific things are being done. They are very confident in their ability to get things going on their own. Doing things their way is very important to a leader. Leaders are always confident that their abilities will provide them with the right answers. Leaders are the opposite of followers. They don't need to see that something has worked for others to take action. Instead, they rely on their instincts, and when they make a decision, they always have to be in control. Their decisions are usually based on their own judgments. Rarely will a leader ask another person for advice. A leader fears losing control more than anything else. This can work for and against them. They believe that they know what is right and what is wrong, and their way is always the right way. To a leader, most things are black and white, and gray areas never come into it. Failure is not an option, so leaders tend to avoid risk and accountability. It will be more of a challenge for you to influence leaders than any other type of decision maker that we have discussed in this video. Trying to influence them directly will not work. You have to influence them in a way where you get them to influence themselves. The two drivers you have are time and fear. Leaders work at their own pace and will not be rushed, so you need time. The other thing that you need to do is to reduce their fear to a minimum so that they can convince themselves that your message is sound. Trying to force a leader into doing something is a total waste of time. You can give a leader the best advice that is all totally genuine and true, but if they suspect you of having a hidden agenda, it doesn't matter if you don't, they will be very defensive and even combative towards you. In this situation, a leader will ask you questions relentlessly. Keep your composure and be patient. Don't be defensive yourself or take things personally. Keep in mind that fear is driving their behavior, and it is not something that you have said or done. Leaders will never admit that they are fearful of anything, which in itself is a challenge. If a leader asks you for more information, then always provide it. They may not even look at it, but the fact that you have responded will help to reduce their fear a little. Leaders need structured and clear presentations that are linear. You will also need to ensure that they perceive you as an expert. They will appreciate your presentation more if you do it with power, authority, discipline, and command. Leaders like confident people that know what they are talking about. A leader will take all of these factors into account and then influence themselves to take action. That is the only way that you are going to get them to do what you want. So always give them the perception that they are in control. Leaders do not like conventional selling methods, so never try to sell to them. You are just providing them with an opportunity. It is up to them to influence themselves to go for it. The enthusiast. The enthusiast is always looking to get involved with something new. They look on new ideas enthusiastically and make it their mission to find out how the idea can benefit them and those around them. Enthusiasts like innovative ideas and have no problem with revolutionary thinking. Imagining the possibilities of an idea really drives an enthusiast. They are responsible people and always focus on the bottom line. You will find that enthusiasts interact a lot and they usually make decisions easily. They will take risks if they believe that the rewards are worth it. Enthusiasts hate wasting time and hardly ever procrastinate. When the time is right for them, they will make the decision. Decision-making with enthusiasts begins with excitement. They will then look for facts that back up their enthusiasm. If they are unable to find the facts, then their excitement for the idea will quickly diminish. When you are presenting an idea to an enthusiast, then you don't have to provide too much detail, but they will want you to provide a detailed plan of how to implement the idea successfully. If you don't have a plan for them, then they will go off of your idea fast. You need to understand that most enthusiasts have been burned in the past because they make decisions fast without thinking everything through. So you need to work on ensuring that their enthusiasm for your idea does not diminish. This means doing your homework and answering all of their questions. If you use the right approach, then influencing an enthusiast is easier than some of the other types of decision makers. Don't flood an enthusiast with a lot of detail. Their attention spans tend to be limited. Show them the most important thing first, which is how the decision will improve their bottom line. Always bear in mind that most enthusiasts will tell you to your face that they are 100% on board with your message. Unfortunately, some of them will change their mind a little later. You can mitigate this to some extent by providing them with the information that they need and being credible and confident. In the next video, we will discuss what you can do to maintain your ability to influence. How to maintain your ability to influence. When you invest a lot of your time and energy to become a master influencer, the last thing you want is for your power of influence to diminish. So, we have a number of methods that you can use to maintain your ability to influence. 1. Keep the relationship going. If you influence someone to do what you want, then it is not a good idea to disappear straight away. You need to make an investment in the relationship you have built with the people that you influence. It shows that you truly value them and what you are doing together, and they will be more likely to listen to you than any others that are gunning for their attention. One of the easiest ways to keep in touch with people is through email. If you want to make it more personal, which is a good idea, then chat with them using a messenger service or call them directly. If a person you have influenced sends you a message asking for your help, then always respond to this. Make a note of their birthday and send them a happy birthday email on the date. They will not be expecting this and will really appreciate it. You can connect with them on Facebook too and like and respond to some of their posts. 2. Avoid confrontation at all cost. If someone that you have influenced takes issue with you about something that you said or did, then do not take offense with this. Never get into an argument with them about it. Some people have running arguments online that are visible to all. Take a good look at what they are unhappy about and put yourself in their shoes. It is very unlikely that they are just trying to upset you, so think it through and respond quickly to them, making a commitment to helping them. 3. Be a connection maker. When you really know your audience, you will be able to introduce them to each other so that they can help each other out. This is something that both parties will really appreciate. It shows that you are willing to do everything that you can to help. Not only that, but you will build a perception that you have a lot of useful connections. People will always tend to trust a person that they feel is well connected, and this is a great way to maintain your influence. 4. Admit you are not perfect. A lot of people expect influencers to have all of the answers. While this can be very flattering, it is clearly not true, as nobody knows everything. What you need to concentrate on is your core skill that the influencer was impressed by in the first place. If you do not know the answer to something, then be humble and honest about it. Here's an example. Let's say that your expertise is in copywriting for the web. You have a talent for writing sales pages and squeeze pages that get results. A member of your audience asks you if you can recommend a good web host. You are not an expert in web hosting, so what do? The best approach is to be honest and admit that you are not an expert in web hosting, but offer to help. A simple Google search can set this person in the right direction. If you are happy with your current web host, then you can share that with them too. Also, if you had a bad experience with a web host, you can share that too. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you are not an expert in another field, as long as it does not relate to your core skill. Web hosting is not part of the copywriting competency, so it is okay to admit you are no expert with it. We always recommend that you try and help the person regardless if you know anything about the subject or not. What some influencers will do is assume that the person is lazy and cannot be bothered to search for themselves. This is not a good attitude to have. They are asking you because they respect you as an expert or think that you have a lot of connections. So always keep on their side by offering all of the help that you can. In the next video, we will discuss the 3 key tactics of influencer mastery. The 3 key tactics of influencer mastery. You have learned a great deal so far in this training. We have shared many influencer secrets with you, and if you apply what you have learned, you will be well on your way to influencer mastery. In this video, we want to discuss the 3 key tactics that you can use to achieve influencer mastery. These are: 1. Influencing with the head. 2. Influencing with the heart. 3. Influencing with your hands. Influencing with the head. What this refers to is tapping into the rational and intellectual positions of people. You make your case by discussing the logical choices that people have. How will their actions affect the company, their promotion, keeping their job, etc.? You are making an appeal to their logical minds here. Sometimes influencing by appealing to people's logic is the best solution. This is especially true in business when you want the cooperation of your employees or are seeking interdepartmental cooperation. Even if you use an emotional appeal in your influencing, you can support this with logical facts. Appealing to logic is used by master influencers a great deal. Influencing with the heart. This is using emotional tactics to influence people. Appealing to emotions is used more often than the other 2 tactics. Master influencers know that stirring the emotions of people is very powerful and more likely to get them to agree to do what you want more than anything else. If you are using your influence to sell, then you can use an emotional appeal to paint a bright future for your audience. They will be happier and wealthier if they follow you. You use proof and facts to support your case, but it is the emotion that will sway people in the end. Tugging at people's heartstrings is a proven way to influence. Influencing with your hands. This is influencing through collaboration. It is all about what you and your audience will do together. You want people to contribute ideas on how they can work together to create a result that is beneficial to all. Again, this kind of influencing tends to work well in organizational situations. A company has a goal and wants its employees to share in it for a brighter future. So, the leader uses collaborative influence to get everyone to buy into the cause. The single or combination of these three tactics that you use to the best effect depend upon the situation that you find yourself in. It is also important that you know your audience so that you can identify the best tactic to use. There's no reason why you cannot combine all three of these tactics to achieve what you want. You could start with an emotional appeal, back this up with logic, and then ask people to unite and contribute to achieving a common goal which will benefit everyone. In the final video, we will recommend the best practices to follow to be a master influencer. Influencer Mastery Best Practices. Here are the best practices that we highly recommend that you follow to develop your influence. By following these best practices, you will give yourself the maximum chance of becoming a master influencer in the shortest possible time. 1. Understand what influence really is. You need to know what influence really is to master it. Influence and persuasion are not the same. Persuasion is a tactic of influence. With influence, you are looking for conversion rather than just compliance. Your credibility is the most important characteristic, and if this is not perceived to be high, then you will be unable to influence others. 2. Rules of influence. There are specific rules to enable influence to happen. You need an audience, and you need to grab their attention and engage with them. In order to influence others, there must be a mutual understanding. Both parties need to understand each other. Knowing the influence game is essential. You need to know the principles and practice them. 3. Importance of influence. You can achieve all of the things that you want in life using influence, and you can help others to achieve their dreams too. Influence is never about being a dictator. You are looking for a long-term change. Creating an emotional connection with people will help you to influence them. When you are a master of influence, you can use it to help you achieve your goals. You can also use it to create better relationships with other people. Helping others get what they want is possible using influence, and when you have the power of influence, you can make a real difference in the world. 4. Know how people are wired. You need to know how people are wired to be a master influencer. People have habits and beliefs, and it is possible to change these, but not easy. Always remember that people do not like being told that they are wrong. Use the pain-pleasure principle when you are influencing others. Remember that people will usually do more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. Bear in mind that most people don't know what they want, and you can use your influence to help them decide. 5. Build unshakable credibility. Credibility is the most important characteristic of a master influencer. You need to do all that you can to develop unshakable credibility. There are 6 elements of credibility, which are competence, likability, expertise, composure, social ability, and trustworthiness. Work on your competence all the time so that people perceive you to be completely competent. Also take time to work on your likability and develop your trust. Always be open about objections and address them in full. Make sure people know who you are and what you are about. Develop your articulation skills, as it is essential that you can articulate your messages. Provide evidence to support any claims that you make. Use humor in your presentations to make your audience feel at ease. Give people what they want, and they will always want to listen to you. 6. Use influence methods in business. Use influence methods in business to get what you want. Identify the problem that your audience has and also the consequences of the problem. Find the best solution and explain the consequences of this solution. Check that your audience understands your message. Make sure that your solution is beneficial to your audience. Reserve judgment on any questions or issues raised, and never correct your audience. 7. Different decision-making processes. You need to know that people have different decision-making processes. Use the right influence skills for each type. The main ones are thinker, skeptic, follower, leader, and enthusiast. 8. Maintain your influence ability. Keep your relationship going with your audience and ensure that you avoid confrontation. Be a connection maker and help your audience with your connections. Admit that you are not perfect and that you do not know the answers to everything. 9. 3 influencer mastery tactics. There are 3 key approaches that you can use to influence people. You can use logic and try influencing their heads. The second is to use emotion and influence their hearts. And the last is a collaborative approach where you influence with your hands. Conclusion. Now that you know what you have to do to develop influence mastery, it is time for you to take action. Don't just go through this training and then let it gather digital dust on your hard drive. This is your life, so follow the steps and apply what you have learned. Work tirelessly on developing and maintaining your credibility. Be sure to follow the rules of influence and use the necessary influencer tactics required for your audience. We hope that you enjoyed taking this training and that you have found it informative and inspiring. We sincerely hope that you develop influencer mastery.